Hello, my name is Flávio José Rocha. I live in Brazil, where I work with Theater of the Oppressed. And from now on, I'm going to refer to Theater of the Oppressed just as TO. I'm going to introduce you very quick, of course, about the techniques that make the umbrella of TO. For that, I'm going to share some slides just to help us. So Theater of the Oppressed was started in Brazil on 1970 by a person called Augusto Boal, who was very famous on the 60s. He worked with a group in São Paulo, and during the dictatorship, because artists and intellectuals, professors were being censored, even the news was censored by the government, by the dictators. He started thinking how to do theater in a way that more and more people would have access on doing theater and learning techniques, easy techniques to do plays on their communities, on their parishes, on their churches, unions, and universities. So he is the tree of the Theater of the Oppressed. As you can see on the roots of TO are ethics, history, politics, philosophy, and economy. So we think theater as something bigger, just the play. We think theater as an instrument for the society to improve. And here are some of the TO principles, just some of them, but I see them as very key for the people who want to do TO. The first is TO belongs to the oppressed groups and individuals first. So if in a group of workers, there are women and men, women will have the priority to do TO as an instrument for their liberation. We don't keep the techniques for ourselves. We share them with the groups. The whole idea is this is an instrument. It doesn't belong just to me. It belongs to everyone. The third principle is we all can do theater. Maybe not as the best professional, acting professional, but we all can do acting and use this acting to help to improve ourselves and our communities. And the fourth principle is theater is a tool for individual and social transformation. And I think these are kind of very important for everyone who wants to do TO. So here is how Augusto Boal started doing TO in Brazil. He did something called living newspaper. In fact, living newspaper was started in Russia pre-revolution. It was something very big in the US during the 1930s and the beginning of the 1940s. This picture, for example, was taken in Baltimore. So you see how many people are on the line to see a living newspaper play. What the difference is, Boal created new ways to do living newspaper, things that would easy for the people who never did theater before to do living newspaper. The whole idea is let's discuss the news. What are behind the news that you are seeing on the papers, on television? The second technique is the invisible theater. Remember I said that Boal was put in prison and tortured. So when he left prison, he knew that they were gonna kill him. So he escaped to Argentina. In Argentina, he wanted to continue doing theater, but how to do theater as a foreigner and also knowing that you're being watched because you are seen as very dangerous. So he started doing something called invisible theater. And what's invisible theater? People do a play on the streets, on the trains, metros, squares, but nobody knows, the audience doesn't know that what they are seeing right there is a play. And things could happen, a lot of unpredictable things could happen depending of the shoe that's being presented, but he's very clear that nobody can know, the audience can never know that what they saw was a play. And also he's very clear that you do invisible theater for social reasons, also using Theo to improve our community. Another technique that was created by Boal was image theater. While living in Argentina, he started working with a lot of indigenous communities in Ecuador, Venezuela, Peru, Mexico, Panama, in different countries. And he didn't speak any of those languages, the language that those people spoke. So he created a series of exercises and games where people don't need to use words, but they use their bodies, creating images of oppression and liberation. The most important, the most famous technique created by Augusto Boal is the forum theater. And it was created when he was working on a literacy program in the periphery of Peru. You can see the whole story on his books. But the thing is, it always starts with a story told by somebody in the group, a story of oppression that hasn't been solved yet. And from that story, the group does a play, a very simple play with 3 or 4 scenes. But remember, we don't show a solution for that problem, because one of Boal's critique about political theater was going to the communities and showing them the solution, like, we know everything about you, so now we come with a solution for your problems. So the whole idea of TO is this is an instrument for you to find your own solutions. So for the play on forum theater, we choose just one story, and we have a focus. We don't want to solve all the problems in the community. We go step by step. And when we present the play, we stop right there when the play shows the oppression scene, and we invite the audience to replace the oppressed character and act a solution. The oppressor character is going to put that solution down. So it makes people eager to come and show other solutions and act other solutions, because for Boal, there is no spectator. We are all actors. So right there, we become actors, but also we are acting to change the situation. Boal also created something called the Rainbow of Desire. And what's that? The Rainbow of Desire was created when he lived in Paris. He spent 15 years in exile in between Argentina, Portugal, and France. And while he was there, he received a lot of people in his workshops who said, my oppression is not being able to communicate what I desire. My oppression is loneliness. So he started thinking that in Europe, there was another kind of oppression, what he called the cap on the head. So he created a series of exercises to talk, to think, and to act against the oppression and the oppressor who is in our heads. And when he came, he finally was allowed to come back to Brazil. he he became a council member of the city of Rio de Janeiro, and he created something called legislative theater. The whole idea was, again, creating theater groups on the periphery of the city and using theater to hear what those communities want, to hear first the problems, but what those communities want for that locality. So they created more than 60 groups, theater groups, in the communities, in the poor communities of the city of Rio de Janeiro. Before he died, he was working a lot on the aesthetic of the oppressed. And by that, he means, look, it doesn't matter if we do all those actions if we don't rethink the way that we are doing. Because a lot of times we are doing actions thinking that we are helping to liberate the oppressed people when you are just reproducing what the oppressor does. Like when we go to poor communities and we tell them what they have to do, like we have the whole wisdom and we are offering a wisdom that they themselves don't have. So just want to end with this phrase from Augusto Boal, citizen is not who live in society, citizen is who transforms society. So this is a little bit of Theater of the Oppressed. You can find a lot of material on internet, a lot of things are on YouTube, and I'm very happy that I could I could have this opportunity to talk a little bit, and I hope I have put you the seed of interest of knowing more about you.